Back in 2019, the International Airlines Group announced that it would take over Spain's third largest airline, Air Europa. 2 years later, the deal was off the table. So, what were the reasons for the takeover to begin with, and why did the deal fell through? Let's talk aviation. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe. This really helps the channel grow and makes it easier for others to find. First, a quick look at the history of Air Europa. The Spanish airline was founded in 1986. It started as a charter airline operating holiday flights to popular tourist destinations around the Mediterranean. It used a fleet of 737s and 757s. While their main hub was in Madrid, the airline also has, unsurprisingly, a large presence at the Spanish hotspots Mallorca and Tenerife. From Madrid, the airline could also operate flights on the most popular route in Europe, from Madrid to Barcelona. In the late 1990s, the airline expanded beyond Europe and commenced flights to and from Latin America as well. Moving forward to 2018, Air France-KLM and Air Europa announced that they would work together to create a joint venture that could operate flights between Europe and South America. The three airlines, all part of the SkyTeam alliance, would intensify their collaboration on these flights. However, the joint venture wasn't meant to be when in 2019, IAG made an offer to take over the airline for €1 billion, which is $1.2 billion. The International Airlines Group, based in both Madrid and London, is the owner of British Airways, Aer Lingus, and the Spanish airlines Level, Iberia and Vueling, the latter two being the largest and second largest of the country. The goal of the attempted takeover of Air Europa was to make Madrid a leading hub in Europe and to take on London, Paris, Frankfurt and Amsterdam. However, as was known from the beginning, it wouldn't be easy to convince the European Commission to allow the deal to happen. Air Europa and Iberia already had both quite a presence in the market for flights from Europe to South America. Before the negotiations were well underway, the pandemic hit. And in late 2020, IAG and Air Europa announced they would work together to finalize the deal, but had decided to cut the price of the airline in half to €500 million. The negotiations with the European Commission continued. Usually, both parties would identify routes on which monopolies could occur, and to prevent these, the airline would have to hand over some slots to competing airlines in order to offer passengers an alternative. The number of slots and routes the airline would have to forfeit is open for discussion. This time around, over 70 routes were identified on which IAG would get a monopoly, and the EU feared that this could lead to higher prices and lesser service. Both domestic and international routes were identified, and in December of 2021, IAG decided that it wouldn't move forward with the deal and paid Air Europa €75 million in compensation, mainly due to the fear of having the deal rejected. Now, both airlines can make another attempt in a couple of years. Now that the deal with IAG was off the table, Air Europa once again looked to Air France-KLM, another large player on the Europe to Latin America market. After the letter of intent 4 years prior, it looks like both parties will give the joint venture another shot. Since Air France-KLM itself is in financial difficulty, a full takeover of Air Europa seems unlikely for now. Despite Air Europa moving on from the deal with IAG and now working with Air France-KLM, in March of this year, the IAG loaned €1 million to Globalia, the current owner of Air Europa. The loan can be converted into 20% of the shares of Air Europa, giving the holding company another entry into the airline. In the meantime, Air Europa continues its operations with a fleet of 18 Boeing 737s and 26 Dreamliners for its main carrier and a handful of ATR 72s and Embraer E195s for its regional subsidiary Air Europa Express. What are your thoughts about the IAG Air Europa deal? Do you think the European Commission was right to look into the takeover and make strong demands? Or should they have allowed the deal, especially in these uncertain times when aviation is recovering from the effects of the lockdowns? Do you think Madrid can become a large hub in Europe, or will the current hubs in Northwestern Europe stay the largest for the foreseeable future? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and please consider subscribing to Let's Talk Aviation. If you have any suggestions for a future video, feel free to let me know in the comments. I look forward to hearing what you would like to see here at Let's Talk Aviation.